use our system, we continue to fine-tune it and improve it and take the suggestions of our users and incorporate that into how things operate. Another publicly visible, quote-unquote, private store is here for the Yum brands. One of our users offers up an experience for the franchises of all of these companies that if I'm a franchise owner, you can go to yumstuff.net. It's publicly visible. So even if I'm a customer and I just want to get something fun for A&W, I can go here and order a bobblehead or a shirt. But more importantly is that if I'm a A&W franchise operator, I can go and order items either for my employees or as giveaways, promotions for my restaurant. I can, perform lots of functions straight from this private store. On the back end, behind the scenes that you don't see, is once I were to log in, it actually matches my information against a list of imported franchises, and the company that runs this website, the uniform provider, knows that, aha, this is a franchise at this location, these are the credit terms they have, and it will either ask them to enter the credit card upon the order, it will offer them the option to use, pay by invoice, et cetera, et cetera. I think you get the idea. But don't be, if some of you out there are operating smaller enterprises, do not be discouraged that this is only for these giant restaurant or apparel or uniform companies that are out there. The same rules apply to very small operations. In fact, many times we've seen it used more successfully by smaller operations because the buyer at the smaller operations, your customer, has less and less time to deal with such things. If you can provide a quick way for them to jump online, place an order off hours, when they first get in the morning at 6 a.m. or after hours when they're done with their day at 7 p.m., they can go in, place an order, and you do not have to be providing that telephone operator accessibility. Okay, go back here. So what program does make sense for you to convert to an online store, speaking of the size of your programs? Here's the basic concepts behind what we encourage uniform dealers to think of as the criteria. Are you getting at least a $3,000 annual profit from this customer? So whether you're selling $6,000 or $5,000 of goods to them or $10,000 of goods to them and making $3,000 on it, really if you're making any less than that on a particular uniform program, probably it's not to your advantage for the amount of time, brain share, mind share, and quite, the physical expense of converting them to an online store. Because take, for instance, the UniformMarket store system might cost you, once you're on our platform, anywhere from $300 to $1,000 to set up an online store, and then there might be 20 bucks, 30 bucks a month of running costs to that. And that is a very typical price in our system, by the way. So if before you spend $500 to set them up and 20 bucks a month, you want to consider what is the profit that you get from this customer, and is it worth it to set this up for them in order to maintain that annual profit from them. Anything over that we think is a good idea for you to target them for online stores. Is the count visible to your competition? Is this a business in your area or a program that your competition can easily see wears uniforms and may be going in to try to take that business from you? Those are good candidates for an online store because you're locking that customer into you with more and more services that your competition will have to deal with in order to try to take that business away from you. Clients that have requested improved purchasing processes, if they're at all frustrated with your current processes, if they experience any pain points that they've expressed to you, it's kind of a pain to call you all the time, it's kind of a pain to deal with the Excel sheet, it's kind of a pain to have to write everything down and fax it to you, those are good candidates for an online store. Any customers that are geographically dispersed, if you operate chiefly out of a physical store or a physical warehouse and it's inconvenient for them to get to you, is one criteria that I mean by geographically dispersed. The other, I mean, is are they spread out? If they are spread out and their purchasing habits require considerable organization on their end in order for one person to organize the shipment of goods to many locations, or multiple buyers at multiple locations to deal with the process of placing orders, an online store is a compelling customer service option for you to provide to that customer, because they will then be able to see and manage across multiple locations everything that they're purchasing. And you can have a supervisor log in and then see and run a report across many locations in order to determine if their needs are being properly addressed and what's going on with their purchasing habits. It's very helpful to your customer. It's very helpful to you. Let's go to, again, our site. And I'll remind you that here on the homepage of UniformMarket.com, we have examples of some of these general stores that we've looked at, some general medical stores, and medical or industrial or security. And then we also have some examples of these private stores that we've been looking at, where you could order and see something by a particular location or by department, or the concept that you could have a mid-level security for something. So if I click on this, calls up this page, and then you see, aha, so I'd have to log in by my employee number or by a username and password or whatever criteria is appropriate for that particular store. And you want to look for software that offers you the option to change that from store to store, by the way. You don't want to be locked in that this particular customer buys from us this way and we've set up in a private store for them in that manner. Then suddenly another big customer of yours comes along and they don't really like the way that that operates. They want you to adjust the online buying experience more to fit their needs. You need a software solution that allows you to change things in a different way for each of their buying habits. So this particular private store, the customer wanted it divided where, well, we want to be able to order the apparel, and then we also want to see, some other promotional items that we may buy from you from time to time, but we want it separated so we don't have to see all the same things all the time. Or we don't want to see both at the same time. So in this particular case, we loaded 10 just casual apparel items. This might be an example of a restaurant program. So they're going to see that, okay, they get for the managers, they get the Port Authority S606, and they can click here, and they'll see just the item, and this may come in 10 different colors from your, I think Port Authority is Sanmar. So it may come in 10 different colors from Sanmar, but because I logged into my private store, it only shows it in the 3 colors that I ordered in from you as the uniform provider. So again, you can go here and see examples of all of these. Are there any additional questions, things that I did not cover in the slides? I lied. It wasn't 10 slides. It was 8 slides. If you do have more questions, again, you can go to UniformMarket.com to see examples. You can email sales@UniformMarket.com to talk to our sales department. If you're a current customer, you obviously know how to contact us. My personal email is rick@UniformMarket.com. If you're interested in asking me questions directly online or offline, feel free to email or call to discuss your particular needs. I'm actually not in the sales department here at Uniform Market, but I'm happy to answer pre-sales questions. And or if you're a customer, the likelihood that you have talked to me is very high. So someone actually is also asking about how difficult it is or isn't to assign things in software. So let's say you do want to set somebody up with a private store and you want to assign the products to them and